Jim Jones was caught on surveillance cameras in his studio building, and he was knocking pretty viciously with his back foot, stomping on a few of the doors. It seems he seemed to be locked out by his landlord allegedly. And then what followed after was 50. He's persistent in trolling, and he got quick. He was quick to it. He went on Instagram and posted a picture with the landlord, claiming that the landlord does in fact own a piece of that podcast, and the 50, throwing salt in the wound at this point. But
did you see? Yeah. Is there any truth to the fact where 50 said now that they did the deal to where he owns that, or was that trolling?
I don't know how true that is, but he has a picture with the landlord, and the landlord, I don't know if the landlord had a quote in there saying that, because that was in the original phone call when they first leaked out, and it seems to be real. We won't quick to call it a fact, but according to 50, it seems like he's getting next to the landlord, maybe trying to get a piece of that, maybe pay off the debt, and then also get in on owning that pod or just the space that they rent, that they occupy.
But my question, I got a couple of questions with that. So the first question I got is, obviously, I think it's big. I don't know if it's surveillance camera, like, cause when people own buildings, they have cameras. So I don't know if all of this footage that we're getting from 50 is from just surveillance cameras, or is there a mole in Jim's camp, right? Which would kind of be even crazier, right? The second thing I'm saying is just like, I get Jim on his hustler spirit, and I respect him for trying to build something from the ground up. And I think, like, if you've seen enough footage of what he's trying to create, it's not a bad idea, is it? You look at the whole space when he's done videos of the layout and all of these different things, what he's trying to create. It's not a bad idea, but it's almost like, what is it with guys like 50 and like these upper echelon dudes that just like feel like, Jim is a lower echelon artist compared to them, but they just treat him like a peon, and I'm just like, why?
First of all, I don't knock anything Jim's doing. I've seen what he's doing with recording, like the whole building of the space. He's got a whole idea for doing Jim's Improvement. I don't know if that's an official content idea. Obviously has the Let's Rap About It podcast. And I don't know if it's everybody or if it's just 50 just being, at this point, you're throwing insult to injury. Like, how somebody, they make it a victory, but if you continue to do it, at this point, it becomes like just a little over the top. How badly do you, that makes us question, like, do you really want to see him down and out permanently? Or, cause he's such a persistent troll. I just don't know what sparked the relationship between them two exactly. I don't know if they had beef in the past, but it seemed to stem from the podcast crew commenting on his decision to do the Diddy doc, and 50 being who he is and where he came from, his decision to do that. And I think once he hears that, he got, it's pedal on the gas, like foot on the gas, like he doesn't stop.
But it's like, I think you talk about this probably in a bunch of different situations, but here's the thing. Another question I had was, if he's on a podcast with Mano, Fab, and Dave East, right? Tell me if this is a fair question to ask, right? As a fellow podcast, me and you, we partners or whatever, but if we building something together, we feel like we got something worth enough to show up every week, right? To kind of do content with, right? I don't think Fab is broke, and I don't think Dave East is broke. I don't know Mano's situation, but $80,000 or whatever it is that they were discussing based on some of the logistics that I was reading and stuff that they was putting online, doesn't seem like a lot of money to not be able to come up between the three of them, if that makes sense, right? Even if, think about it like this, like if it do like Jim Jones or somebody like that, like, and I wouldn't even be mad at him, like, he wear a lot of jewelry and gaudy and stuff, like, if he had to pawn his jewelry to get the 80,000 to get the situation set up, would you be mad at him? If in the end he ended up, exponentially building that into something so much greater?
Yeah, I just think the optics of everything just seems a little off, because once the seed gets planted, you start to think, does Jim not have it to pay it? And then, like you mentioned, you got three other cast members that are in on this investment or on the show. Can they not pitch in to just get this bill taken care of and they can get situated? It's kind of weird. And I wouldn't blame Jim. Jim had to go, if he felt strongly about this, and I believe he does, because he made a whole space for content creators to meet up, and like he's building something that he feels strongly about. And knowing him, he's reinvented himself to stay relevant in the internet space. He's doing pretty good at it. I just don't like it. Just seems that every chance he has a low moment or a moment like this, people are so quick to like step on him when he's down. I don't like, but it should 80,000 get it done. Like, no matter who got, like, the cash should help.
But it shouldn't look like this though. Like how is it that, like, it's embarrassing to people on that level? Me and we talk about behind the scenes about how a lot of people make it look good, but it's not really like that. You know what I mean? But that's why I think 50's trolling that, where it's just like, you fly high, you ballin', and it's just like, yo, bro, like, you can't get. And again, I don't have $80,000 sitting around, but I'm just saying, like, to guys on that level, is it wrong for me to think from the outside looking in, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out?
For us as consumers looking at it, yeah, it should be that easy. But I think 50's the guy. He's literally the one guy in particular who's going to tell everybody that needs to know it's not all what it seems. Obviously, Instagram and whatever you see, you're only posting the highlights. 50 tends to pull back the curtain and be like, well, if you're doing this, why haven't this getting paid off? And this is you banging on the door. This is you with no heat in your space. He's doing everything he can to shed light on what it isn't.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree, but again, like you said, why can't it just get handled? And I applaud Jim's humor because he's playing into it because he's like, he's at the spot with he's in the heavy clothing, the layers. He's like, playing into the whole content thing. Like we got no heat. He's
But
got
how
a
much
pretty
can
good
this
sport
keep
about it.
continue to keep? How many more videos can 50 continue to keep putting out? It's almost like, all right, you get things right. It's almost like he put out a video. Seem how you put out a couple other episodes of your podcast. And then 50 come with another video, and it's just like, you know what I mean?
50 seems to, at this point, it seems to me he's overdoing it. You're doing pretty well for yourself. We all know that. But it just seems like whenever somebody's down on their luck, you don't hesitate to show people like this guy, he's looking like shit out here. Like he's doing it too much. He's doing it too much because it's like Jim in the process, he's still dropping episodes. He's doing this. He's showing people that he's persistent. He's consistent, no matter the elements. And 50, it's almost looked like 50 is trying to literally on purpose stop their motion or do whatever he can to make it look away. So at this point, he's kind of overdoing it to me.
But in the same realm, like, I don't know if you follow this guy named Wayno. Remember, he used to be on the
Yeah,
podcast with Joe Budden.
Yeah.
Right, so he got his own little situation. Shout out to Wayno. So subscribe. He got a lot of good shit, good content going on. But he was talking about it in the sense that like Jim has been in the business for a long time, and usually, if we look at a lot of the other rappers or a lot of people in entertainment space, especially with this content creation space, it almost seems like this is the new gold mine. And it's just that like if you have any reach or any reach or if you have any popularity, you can capitalize on it. So now that you have people that are pseudo celebrities to whatever capacity trying to capitalize off of it, right? It's almost like Wayno's looking at it like you've been in the game this long. And he's brought up stories about how Jim has said how like he blew $20 million and when he was young and all these different things. But, like me and you talk about behind the scenes, like, yo, bro, sometimes like, man, listen, could you imagine if you would have came across $20 million?
So Wayno's pretty much saying like,
No, he's saying like, could it be that Jim may have burnt some bridges in the industry to the point where people like 50 trolling him, nobody feels bad for Jim?
seems to me like maybe he's a bad money manager. Maybe Jim's just not so good with finances. And for him to be like a veteran at this point, you can call him a veteran. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's doing it through music, clothing, influence, culture. Now he's in the internet space. And now that he's in the internet space, people are not hesitating to be like, oh, well, look at Jim struggling in this space. I applaud Jim for trying to transition. I think the guys over there, they got a good idea. I think they got a good vibe going, chemistry. It can only get better, but it just seems like 50's taking time to shed light on the financial part of it, the space that you're in, the space that you occupy. And
it's not only 50, Cam too.
I know, but Cam's joining it. I would
and Cam was his right. I want to say his right hand, but that's a whole nother conversation based off whatever dynamic they have with their relationship. But if we being real, it's kind of like there's a part of me that feels like being that he wasn't put in the. I think there's a part of me that feels like he feels some type of way about Mace and Cam having that space. Maybe he feel like it should have been him and Cam, being that him and Mace wasn't getting along for that long, and based off how much he put on for that bird, you know what I mean? That bird game. Like Jim, I'll give him that much props, and I'm not gonna take nothing away from him. Jim put in a lot of pain for that bird game, and he was a big part of that movement. But when you think about Cam and Jewels, like I don't know if we ever looked at him as that type of artist to where the point where people in the industry look at him as just like somebody that capitalized off of opportunity as opposed to being talented. If that makes sense.
He's not talentless. I'll say that he's not. Right. He's not some peon talent wise. If I can say more than anything,
I like Jim albums. That's what I'm saying.
He's improved lyrically as a rapper. Every project that he's put out, and you can say his best work is the latter half of his career, which is currently. And you're right. That's a good point you brought up. What if he does feel some animosity towards Cam? Here's somebody in Mace that you didn't like at one point, right? Now you guys are back together. You're cool. Now Jim may feel shunned. I put in work for the bird, and now here insert Mace, and now you got one of the most popular shows on the internet, and Jim's now trying to, I guess, create something of his own.
Based on what they created off the bird. Like, he can still eat off the bird, right?
Yeah.
They all are. Him, Jewels, J.R. Ryder, or to a certain degree, they all start kind of still living off that diplomat legacy, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and Jim says it all the time. He can't really profit off of the bird. He only put in, like, the sweat equity for it, because in terms of a logistics standpoint in business, he can't really do that, because Cam has got a hold on it.
No, but I don't think Cam cares about him making money off the bird. But what I'm thinking is just like, here's the thing. And again, there's another element of this too, where I think where 50 is trolling about. It's like, yo, bro, Jim, you an entity now. You Jim Jones. Like, that means something. Like, that carries a certain amount of cachet. The moments that they catch it on camera, based off we knowing you being Jim Jones, that's the whole thing. It shouldn't be happening, right?
Yeah, I would say he's put in a lot of work to the point where if he were to do something on his own, he can thrive in it. And he has. The show is doing well. It's just that, like you said, now that these things are getting leaked out about finances and the space that you're renting out and it being not being paid and all these nuanced stuff and 50 add some 50 trolling in there, it's just like he can't catch a break. The guy can't
Well,
catch a break.
that's what Wayno was saying. Like, but to the point where it's just like when you think about certain niggas and like, how is it that we stay? I'm gonna say this, overtly. I know you can't say it, but what I think Jay and now Cam and 50 is saying is like you still having nigga moments where you supposed to be somebody that's moving and grooving or wheeling and dealing in this industry because you got a name. You Jim Jones, right? When we see you drippy, you got the latest everything. So it looks really crazy that nigga you can't. We expect you to be. This shouldn't be an issue for you, but that's what can't. But that's what 50 is exposing on some shit like. Nigga, yeah, however you move, but it's like, nigga, so you got carrots on your neck, you got all of this shit, but nigga, you can't pay that 80,000.
And it seems to me that everybody's hinting at this is all just the image you're portraying, but deep down, maybe you don't have it, but you just play the role pretty well in terms of the outside. This is what you present, so we should believe that you have 80,000, but it's not that way, and you're dressing this way, and it seems like you should have the money, but they're saying why don't you have it? So
But they on different levels, but that's why niggas like Cam and 50 can clown because they millionaires. You know what I mean? Jim's still in the street every day trying to figure it out.
yeah, but Cam being so close to that situation, like, and to see him teaming up with 50 in a sense in the trolling, it's got to sting a little bit more for Jim to see that because these are all people that didn't like each other at one point. 50 didn't like, I mean, Cam didn't like 50.
And Jim was riding.
Yeah, and Cam didn't like Mace. Jim was riding, and it's just like now he's the odd man out. It's like you were down for the cause, and then they went and got good with the people that they weren't good with, and now he's the odd man out. This is like some type of
No, but you know what else I think it is? Like low key behind the scenes too. And like I said to you a little while ago, Jim stay on that nigga shit, right? So like we seen the video with him and Dame, right?
yeah.
Shit like that don't make him look good. Like you Jim Jones, but you bringing niggas to fuck Dame Dash up.
Yeah, but it just seems like
But that's the thing with shit like that. What I'm saying is like, nigga, like yo, bro. All right, we get it. You from Harlem, you grew up in the streets, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But at this point, nigga, you the only niggas that like think about like the shit with like there was some criticism about his rollout about how when Melly came home, like Melly came home on a train and shit. Like you know what I'm saying? It'd be shit like that where it's just like, you know what I mean? You talk that shit, but
yeah.
And it's like Jim has those moments, and it's like it's easy for niggas like 50 and maybe even Cam to troll on those because it's almost like they know that he's not doing as well as they are, like on a micro level. Like Jim probably could get 15 to 20,000 a month. What's that like? Maybe 240,000 a year, which is not bad for a nigga that's a lower level rapper, right?
Yeah.
Or anybody, right? Would you be mad at making $240,000 a year?
No, not at all. And I just feel like that's his own doing. It's self-inflicted, right? So it's like these are moments that are on you, and I don't knock his hustler spirit because he continues to work hard and he gets it when he needs to. But it just seems like these moments emerge,
trip him up, right?
And now it's just it stops all traction and it makes you look away. Optically, everything that's coming out about him looks crazy. You got the Dame situation, you got the Melly situation. True or not, the optics look crazy. You're knocking on your own studio space, the doors.
I mean, talking about niggas ain't got no heat. He wear coats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But at what point do you just like leave him alone? At what point does 50 say, you up? 50's up. Why keep shedding a light on another man that's having a little tough times? It looks like you're a bully at this point.
Well, here's the thing. It's good that you say that so we can shift to topic 2, right? My thing for you is, at what point is it content or is it just defamation? Or like, how do we look at this thing? Like, we're content creators. It's just like how far would you go to go viral to create a moment to build an audience? And it's just like you're saying, for somebody like 50, he already has an audience in so many different areas. He doesn't need to do this, but somebody say that this is a way for him to stay relevant outside of all the other stuff he got going on. It's just another way of keeping your name in the algorithm.
I think 50 is just think 50 has time. I don't think he needs any of this internet attention. He doesn't need any of that to build his own brand. This guy is solidified on so many levels. Ain't nothing a little viral moment. It's not gonna help him or not help him at this point. I just feel like he's doing this because he wants to do it. He has the time to do it. And
can we admit that, like, especially with the age of social media, it's like for niggas like 50, they don't even got to put out commercials to stay relevant. They can do shit like this, and it's free.
But look what he's doing, though. I mean, there's a lot of lower end creators that are trying to get to where they're trying to get anywhere. The people in the middle or whatever top, they're doing things to scratch to the top. And here you have 50, who's already at the top. I guess because it is so easy to just open up his phone and be like, well, look at Jim. Here's the surveillance footage. It's a lot easier for him because his.
Do you think 50 is dirty? Because he don't do that to everybody.
Yeah, but the people he does choose to do it to, he seems pretty relentless in his pursuit of shedding light on people.
Well, what you know of his character based on, I mean, we don't know him personally, but does he ever really go at anybody that, like, maybe, I don't know anybody that he might have went at that I feel like, nah, that was stupid, but you know what I mean? because I understood what it meant. Even when he went at niggas like Fat Joe and the Locks, it wasn't really like, 50 liked to stir up controversy. That's his thing. He was the king of the algorithm before it was the algorithm. Think about it, right?
I mean, he broke into the industry with his first track, which was How to Rob, and he was taking shots at everybody. And self-admittedly, he said, "I did this because I knew it was going to garner attention," and it did. He blew up since then. It's just like he's been this way since the beginning. It just seems to now that he's in a super light
It's
shed on him.
unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like why? But like I said, I think he just has time and he wants to do it.
Yeah. But like I said, pivoting into the next topic, as far as this content creation space, even with that being a good point, it's just like, we've been talking a lot about this in different aspects and different people. Um, it's almost like, what do you feel like is going too far? Like, do you feel like he's gone too far? Like, to your point where it's like you said, he's up. So it's just like, at the end of the day, what do you have to gain about it? It's just fun. But at the same time, again, I understand that niggas like 50 and even Jim to a certain degree, when he respond and certain shit, we're wearing the coat in the, in the spot. You know what I mean? They understand that this is, attention is a currency, if that makes sense.
I mean, if anything, 50 is based on how Jim is responding to it. He's helping Jim. In reality, he's helping Jim because if Jim is not out there, like at least publicly, like groveling at these moments, and he's embracing it, it only makes 50 looks a little bit crazy because at this point, 50 is punching down, right? He's punching down at people because you're at the top. At what point do all your punches like they're not affecting them?
It's interesting that you say that. Did you get the video that I sent you about with the T.I. interview? Talking about the hard day with the verses?
50 spoke out recently? I
No,
didn't see
so
the video.
T.I. was on Gillian Wallow, and they asked him about the whole situation with the verses about him between him and 50. And I wish you would. So I sent it to you earlier today. He said that he spoke to 50. Them being in Hollywood, doing what they do, moving around or whatever like that. What do you think about doing it? And he was like, 50 was like, nah, it'd probably be cool or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? Just hit me up, let me know. I guess it maybe just Hollywood talk. And then when it came down to it, then he said 50 started getting all weird and started doing all the extras. You know what I'm saying? And he was, T.I. was like it would have been cool to do it just for the culture. Cause I feel like I was saying when we talked about it, even though 50 probably would win or he might have a better catalog, but T.I. looked at it like, I mean, nigga, I don't have no issues with you, but it's just like the fact that 50 always have to take it there on another level. Is he just being a bully at this point? Is it just,
I mean,
yep.
in that situation, it's actually interesting because if I'm Ti and I reached out to 50 and I pitched the idea like, yo, this would be a good look. Seems like 50 was giving him the whole industry runaround, the industry talk like, yo, yeah, down the line we could do that. But then it just went completely left because then when Ti brought it out publicly on that stage that day, now 50's he's going the mudslinger route, like the extra shit.
Right.
So it's just like we don't have beef, but you're doing the whole 50 thing. This is the 50 marketing. You're doing all the extra shit. And there's no reality where all these people just sit back and be like, this is okay, or like, nah. It's like people can feel a way about what 50 does because it's borderline. You gotta have tough skin to even deal with any of the shit he's doing. Imagine that you just get called a rat or he's just doing what he does to Jim. It's not no regular trolling. Like
but it's all strategy though. He understands the currency of attention and keeping people's, you know what I mean? Like on a multitude of levels, whether it be with power or shit like this or so many other people, even with the whole thing we was doing with saying niggas gotta pay me my money. For a lot of that shit was bullshit, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what he do to stay, I don't want to say stay relevant, but it's a part of, you know what I mean? It's another way to, just another way outside of everything he else got. You know what I mean?
I think there's some days where he can sit back and be like, yo, I don't need to do this. I don't necessarily agree with what for him.
George him up? He said, I think he just has a mentality to bring rats and fakes, especially when they talk about him. That could be true.
But yeah, it's like I don't necessarily like how he handled Little Meech. Little Meech was somebody he took under his wing for his pops. Put him in acting school, and he was on a hit show, BMF. And then when the show got canceled, and he found out that Little Meech pops was taking pictures next to Rick Ross. The 50 switch got turned on. Like, nope, you were disloyal, and I'm going all out to make. So he just like that. Little Meech was up here, and now with the wrath of 50, he's diminished his brand a little bit. Little Meech is looking bad out here.
But at the same time, when you look at it, I guess 50 looking at an enemy, and you fuck with my enemies, that you could always turn on me. But at the same time, when we look at what Little Meech turned out to be, and we hear about a lot of other things he got going on, 50 probably cut his losses early. If that makes sense.
Maybe so, but still, I don't know what his beef is with Jim. I don't know I don't know what happened for him to be so persistent to make this man look like he's down in the dumps, and he can't even manage his finances with his studio. But that don't take away from the product he's putting out. The show's pretty good. I mean, I don't watch, but the episodes are doing numbers. They're creating moments. It just seems like whenever Jim has a little traction, it's like, boom, here's another moment of goofy Jim knocking on the door or pressing Dame or whatever you have it. It's just like somebody comes out of the woodwork and just like shits on him.
I wonder, like I said, with niggas like Fab and East, I know they got $40,000 to get this nigga a piece.
but we don't know. See, we don't.
Well, even to 50 point, maybe it could be that way with them too.
See that's what 50 does. He creates these things in our heads where it makes us believe maybe they aren't that close. Maybe we don't
No,
necessarily know
that's
the
not even
business.
about the close with. Maybe he's exposing the fact that, which we all know, that a lot of this is a facade. You know, like I always say, we talk about it, like niggas be living check to check just like regular people do that work for a living, if that makes sense. These niggas, they go from bag to bag. And maybe you get 500,000 in this bag, but who's to say once the next time, you know, you might get 5,000 here, 7,000 here, 10,000. You got to work hard, you know what I mean, to make it look good, but you got to keep it going. And he like, these niggas, they be doing a lot more of that than they do like these niggas just as geniuses and they just get to the bag. It's a lot more hustle and bustle than just, you know, these niggas, you know, if that makes sense.
And I know Jim and Mano weren't always cool. That's another situation that went from bad to good. And it just kind of makes you question what business do they have in place? Are they all equal partners? What's the situation
I don't think so. I
like?
think this is Jim's situation and it's probably like, it's a good look. And again, I feel like, not to cut you off, but I feel like this is a situation where Jim is like, look, I got a bunch of good ideas. If we just, he's just asking people to give him some time for them to grow. Let me plant the seeds and we can all eat off the harvest. But we both know that that's not how business works. Hence the folk where maybe the landlord was saying that Jim was offering half of the revenue off the podcast. Saying like, just give me some time, this shit gonna pop, which I think it will.
And it will. And maybe that's when he'll hit off the rest of them. Maybe he's just saying, look, do it for the look now. And when it blossoms, then the business will get straightened out. But I don't think that's a good idea as well. I don't think it's a good idea for you to.
That's not how business works. You know that.
Yeah, I don't think you should promise your landlord 50% of your product to buy some time. You shouldn't exchange that. That's a bad idea.
Even though I think he would be able to, you know, to fulfill that contract just based off what he got going on. It's not that we don't think he can't pull it up because think about what he's doing. And then like what we see, he got the Dipset memorabilia, the gear. He got these things with the podcast. He got other artists coming on. He got his own podcast where he got niggas coming on. Then he got their shit. And he's selling the gear. And it's almost like he's trying to make like remember the shit well Big and Rob.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the Jim Jones network. It's like his own network. And that's what I said. He's like, he has a lot of ideas in place. He's doing his own intimate interviews.
But you don't think that if in time that it will pay off? But that's just not how business works. You can go with the wrong credit.
It will, but I still wouldn't promise your landlord 50%. He's not even doing no work. He's just providing you a space. You're still gonna give him 50% of what your shit earns.
Or what we gonna get later, not now, right?
Yeah, it's gonna earn a lot more later. And at the end of the day,
he gotta pay the shit now.
Yeah, he's gonna be mad at that he made that promise.
Because you still gotta pay that from both sides, I guess.
Both things seem warranted. I just don't think the level 50 continues to be persistent in is not like he has to chill. If he is going through that, let him go through that. I want to know what he did. I want to know what Jim did to him personally, where he felt he needs to keep his, foot on the pedal like this. Like you don't need. 50 just I don't know, man. He's like ruthless, man.
Yeah, I hate you. Not to belabor the point. So I don't know, we'll pivot, but so just earlier this week, did you see what them kids did to the mall in the Bronx at Bay Plaza?
They were robbing, right? Looting or stuff?
Yeah, like they called it a raid. And their plan was to go to every mall in Brooklyn. They tried Kings Plaza. They tried Green Acres in Queens, Long Island.
What were they just snatching and running? Like,
they were just acting a fool. Like, and the shit that happened in the Bronx by Bay Plaza, that shit was right by my house. Them niggas broke the window of my motherfucking Ox spot, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the McDonald's. Like, what do you think about that, man? Like, did you see? That seemed like it was. What do you think about what's going on with these kids, man? Matter of fact, you should bring Mitch up. He ain't got no school tomorrow. Let's let him talk about this shit.
I don't know if he's still in there, but yeah. And it's interesting you say that because I was walking yesterday and I took a short walk to get something outside and there was kids. There was like a group of young kids. They were kicking, you know how like there's a basement windows on these buildings?
Right.
They were kicking the windows and running. And I was like, yo, these kids are like just terrible. And then on their way from running, they bumped into a woman who had a stroller and damn near kicked the kid over.
Right.
And they didn't apologize. So that's what you telling me that brings up. I think a lot of kids are like, I don't know, man, just lost. And they're doing all this nasty stuff. And for kids to just be ganging up and going to these malls and just causing havoc, it's not a good look, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but my thing is, but let me ask you this. Is this not something you've never seen before? Like, we maybe not did it to this capacity, but I mean,
maybe not, because maybe just the media coverage now is a lot more different because these people are recording kids doing this with their own phones, along with it being on the news. I do think kids, for the longest time, have been like hyperactive and just causing havoc and doing this. I just do think there's something. I do think there's something in the water now with these kids now, though. It's different. It's like, I don't know.
But you know what it is too? Also, a lot of these kids are trying to go viral, and a lot of this shit is about the internet shit too. Because I was watching a lot of shit on TikTok, and it's just like, there was these kids in the McDonald's and they was like, yo, chill, just chill, bro. Like, don't worry about it. You ain't got to leave. Like, some of the kids probably was feeling uncomfortable because the police and everything was involved. But it was kind of crazy because they was like, A lot of this should be for content too, which is crazy, bro. Like yo, imagine Chris if you was going to get a fucking Big Mac meal from, you know what I mean, McDonald's. You came outside and niggas was on top of your car dancing, nigga, getting sturdy. What the fuck would you do, bro?
It's definitely the viral virus that's going on. And Crumble said it was never on this level of disrespect towards other people for no reason, just between groups of kids. And I agree. It's just like a lot of kids were doing bad things like that weren't putting other people in harm. People were shoplifting, right? They would do it on their own. They would go in there or maybe do it discreetly. But now it just seems like people are getting a rise out of seeing other people get hurt or laughed at. You got kids surfing on trains.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's crazy because I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. It's one of the homies, right? I was talking to him and shit like that, and I was thinking about it like, well, damn, now we wasn't doing shit like that. But then I think about a lot of the situations I grew maybe in the early '80s, with the late '80s, early '90s, like '88, '89, '90, '91, '92. Like, yeah, nah, a lot of this shit was going on back in the days too, bro.
Yeah, and Crumble says we also knew we would get our ass whooped at home.
But we didn't. Our parents didn't know what we was doing outside, Crumble. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that shit was. You think about it, we didn't have the internet, and a lot of these niggas filming this shit. This shit, we had that luxury of anonymity, right or wrong, Chris, right?
Yeah, we did things that we knew if we got caught, we would get in trouble. Just think about it. Kids are doing these things knowing that there is no repercussions, that there is like,
And they filming this shit.
yeah, and there's no enforcement of, discipline at home. Like you said, they're pulling out their phone when they do it. Shit is crazy.
And I was like, man, I don't know. I knew, like, whatever we did, you keep that shit. Thank God we didn't get arrested. We didn't get locked up to have to bring that shit home. But it's a lot of shit our parents don't know that we did back in the day. And like, yo, niggas wasn't surfing on trains, but I don't know if y'all remember this, but I'm from the era of the hood where niggas used to ride on the back of the bus. Like, I'm talking about hang on the back of the bus outside, literally on the back.
Yeah, George said we put our own lives at risk, not towards other people. Crumble said, I mean, we grew up at different times, but you're right. 80s was bad, but 90s we were scared to get caught. We thought twice about running from truancy. I remember
I only got caught by truancy once.
I remember I didn't even run from truancy. I just gave in. It was right there. I got caught by truancy a few times. Man.
I only got caught. I got caught by truancy once. They by J Street, downtown Brooklyn, and it was like, all right, but we're gonna give you this card. You gotta go back to school. After I left them, I just went back to the hood. I never went back to school that day. So
George said he ran through tunnels. he ran from station to station.
He said I got caught like 10 times. But again, it's not like none of this stuff didn't happen when we was growing up. That's what I'm saying. So as maybe we just get older and it just seems unnecessary and we wouldn't want our children to go through it, but it's almost kind of one of those things where it's just like, it's a generational thing. It's just a new version of it, if that makes sense.
It's definitely a lot worse. I think people get a rise out of maybe having their phone out and maybe bullying somebody, like pressing somebody. Something about those camera phones, that possibility of going viral that gives people extra incentive to act reckless and shit. Like we was doing this with no cameras around. It was just a thought in the moment that we thought about after. Like, yo, that was wrong. Depending if we got caught or not. It was harmless. It was nights where
it was fun, right?
Yeah, we was playing manhunt, shit like that. Like we wasn't surfing trains. We weren't trying to like jump anybody or hit anybody just for like satisfaction. It's a lot different, man. Very different.
Yeah, it is kind of different because some of my people, we was doing some of that shit. We was jumping people and robbing people and doing shit like that. But
George said, "There's no rules anymore. No more morals. Kids raising kids." Crumble said, "Even in school, we had detention. We had suspension. They had none. They have none now. Teachers are getting attacked."
But think about teachers wasn't getting attacked back in the day. But I mean, I know they're a little bit older. How much older are they than you?
George is 4 years older than me.
So I'm saying they remember. Well, I don't know if they had to take the train, but I know y'all remember the fights after school and crazy shit. Just like, you know what I mean? That was just everyday life. You just learn how to move around it, right?
Yeah, I remember getting there was always a corner store in high school where I chose not to walk by because there was a Latin King there. He's showing that would want to ask you for money or something. That there was a back entrance to a park you knew not to go to. But even then, it was around. It was definitely around. There's a lot more attention being brought on to what the kids are doing now. But I do think it's a tad bit worse because of their intentions.
I think it's a tad bit worse because they intentionally do it to get on camera. Like we just did it. We were just having fun living in the moment, not really trying to be juvenile delinquents. These again, like I said, could you imagine coming outside of McDonald's and the niggas getting sturdy on the hood of your car? Chris, what the fuck would you do, bro? On the roof of your car, not even a hood, on the roof. I'm dragging that little nigga through the street, bro.
I would trip him up by his feet, and let him slam right on his back on the hood. And then you want to go viral? Grab his phone, drag him down the street. No, these kids is crazy, man. And you got kids. You could be walking out of your building, and these kids would just be leaning on your car, having a little powwow.
What the fuck? And these little niggas is brave, but it's just that, like, when you try to, you say, like, my bad, OG, but it's just like some of these little niggas are just disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mitch, come up. Matter of fact, since you're a YN, so to speak. You know what I mean?
He's a YR.
Whatever. You know what I mean?
He's the young Russian.
He's stupid. Nigga, Chris disappearing. But yeah, these little niggas, man, they wilding out. And the craziest thing is they was going, and this was in New York City. So they was going from, the plan was, because they was out of school this week, it was Bay Plaza, Kings Plaza, all of the malls. They was going to just mob and wild out. It was just like, after they really did Bay Plaza, that's where I, right where I live, the police was kind of on deck on all these other places where they was trying to go. So they didn't really, some people, it wasn't, they didn't get to act up and go crazy like they did in Bay Plaza. But, the fact that, and then the craziest part is, they were, bro, they were sending out flyers online. You heard, Chris?
They said what?
They were sending out flyers online.
What, saying that
Like,
they were?
going to this place on this date.
Oh no, they just leaving a paper. These kids are stupid, man. They're going to jail. They're gonna go to jail soon. Lock them up.
You know what I mean? No.
That's Mitch's generation, man.
Yeah, the YNs and all that.
Yeah, Mitch be doing that too. He be getting sturdy on cars and shit.
Yeah, man. Where's everybody at tonight? Where's AO? Where's
I mean, we got 7 viewers in here.
Anybody want to come up, man? Let's chop it up tonight, man. I got a topic that I want to talk about, but I need some people opinions.